Yes, so good evening, everyone. Yoav, you'll start by welcoming and saying hi while I'll find the sources so you can say hi to
Okay.
everyone and welcome.
Good evening. You said I say hi. That doesn't take many seconds, but just to remind, we are in studying Midrash. We're actually studying today a Midrash that is known and unique, but also complicated. Not complicated in the story. It's a relatively simple story, but it could take the study to very different um, uh, directions because it has very many elements and elements of between people and God, between man and wife, and many others. I think we have in preparing, we know the text and we have some ideas about it, but the Midrash could actually go, as Midrashim often do. They take something little out of a context of the Torah and take it to a new story level and thinking level. And because of that, I want us to do the same in this study. One thing is I don't know exactly what Yair is going to say. I'm trying to know what I'm going to say and struggle with that, but also really want to invite everyone here to ask questions or to come with your own understandings and views, because I think it's an example of a midrash that, in the one hand, takes a little the story of what we read in the parasha a little out of context to a totally different story, but in a way gives new understandings in the story of the Torah and opens us to do the same. So I really want to invite everyone to join. I know some of us are sometimes shy to ask or to say, "Oh, I see something different here," or there is another angle maybe we could look. But I always we want to invite you to be in. If not, we will speak because that's something
There's so much to say about it, so it's not
that's something we do too much. So we will just continue with that. Yes, Yair, are
yes.
you ready for sharing?
Yes, I'm sharing.
Good.
It's a long midrash, so I hope you don't worry. We won't read the Hebrew. We will read the English. I'll just also I'll send it in the chat the the link where it comes from, so you can whoever wants to go in and see it by yourself, and so we can go back and forth. You can do it now. So. It's Bereshit Rabbah that we use mostly now in the book of Bereshit, and I'm not going to talk about the Parashat Shavua and what it's about because the Midrash goes so far away from the source. We will mention the parasha only in the last sentence. We will read 4 words from the parasha, and that's uh, almost the only connection. We'll see. But it's not about the parsha, it's about the midrash. So that's why it's not an issue. We can see how it can be, anyways. It gives something maybe to think about for the parsha Shavua, but it also goes, as you have said, very far away from the simple story that comes in the parsha. So the story goes as follow. Should I read it or should we ask someone to read it? I can see Nigar is smiling. She really wants to read.
I can read.
Great, thank you.
Rabbi Yehuda Bar Simon began. God settles the individuals in a home. A noble woman asked Rabbi Yosef Bar Halafta. She said to him, "In how many days did the Holy One, blessed be He, create His world?" He said to her, "In 6 days, as it is written, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth." She said to him, "From that time until now, what has He been doing?" He said to her, "He is sitting and matchmaking, the daughter of so and so to so and so, the wife of so and so to so and so, the property of so and so to so and so." She said to him, "That is his vocation. I too can do so. I have several slaves, and I have several maidservants, and I can make matches between them in a single moment." He said to her, "If it appears simple," and if you could scroll, thank you. If it appears simple in your eyes before the Holy One, blessed be He, it is as difficult as the parting of the Red Sea." Rabbi Yosef Bar Halafta went on his way. What did she do? She took 1,000 slaves and 1,000 maidservants and stood them in several lines. She said, and so man shall marry so and so woman woman shall marry so and so man. She made matches between them in one night. The next day, they came to her. This one, his head was wounded. This one, his eye was gouged. This one, his leg was broken. She asked them, What do you want? This one said, I do not want that one. That one said, I do not want this one. Immediately, she sent and brought Rabbi Yosef Bar Halafta. She said to him, There is no God like your God. Your Torah is true. It is fine and praiseworthy. You spoke well. Should I continue?
Yes.
He said to her, Is that not what I said to you? If it appears simple in your eyes before the Holy One, blessed be He, it is as difficult as the parting of the Red Sea. What does the Holy One, blessed be He, do for them? He matches them against their will, not to their liking. As it is stated, God settles the individuals in a home. He liberates prisoners in chains. What is bakorashot?
The
Bakosharot.
bakusharot, that's a Hebrew word that it says God settles individuals in home, liberates prisoners in chains, but the word in chains is bakosharot. That's the Hebrew word.
Mm. What is bakosharot? It is with weeping bechi, and with song veshirot. One is willing with song, and one who is unwilling weeps. Rabbi Berechia said, In this language, Rabbi Yosei Bar Halafta answered her, The Holy One, blessed be He, sits and crafts ladders, and humbles this one, and raises that one, lowers this one, and elevates that one. As it says, But it is God who is the judge. He humbles this one and raises that one. There are instances where one goes to his match, and there are instances where one's match comes to him. Isaac, his match came to him, as it is stated. Isaac went out walking in the field. Behold, he saw camels coming. Jacob went to his match, as it is written, Jacob departed from Beersheba.
And here in the very last sentence, we came to our parasha that Yaakov, Vayetzi Yaakov Beersheba. So this is the connection to our parasha this week. Thank you, Nigal, so much for the reading. I will ask you every time because your English is perfect. So thank you so much. Let's start by just explaining if someone was lost because it was such a long midrash. This midrash goes into you can even say a classic form of midrash. You have many midrashim where there's a debate between a rabbi and some important person from Rome. It can either be with a matronita, like a noble woman, like we have here, or with sometimes with Caesar, or like with some important. And in these, usually we will have some kind of a debate, a theological debate, something that shows about the differences between Judaism and their culture, their Hellenistic culture, the Roman culture, or like the religious aspect, cultural aspects, usually comes out in these form of midrashim in the dialogue, in the debate. Many times these helps us to understand Judaism better. Many times when you talk about what Judaism is, you do it through reflection, what happened in the rest of society, and now you can understand what do you have in Judaism that makes us different? What is special about the Jewish way of thinking, way of life, and so on? It doesn't mean that it's only a Jewish way of thinking, but this is the classical form that you have in these midrashim, where you have these debates. And here in this situation, we have it's very clear that the first question is only as many other times. The first question is only to get to the point, right? When the woman asks the rabbi about what does God do since the seventh day, she wants to go further. There's something that she wants to reach. You can even argue that this is kind of undertone of making a joke out of the Jewish tradition. So how many days did it take God to create the world? She probably knows the answer, right? And her goal is to come in and mock the Jew who's going to say in 6 days, and then he rested on the seventh day. What does he do since? Ah, that's it. Because as we know, the Roman gods and the Greek gods were gods that were very active in wars, in all the things that goes on in according to their mythology. So, so she wanted to mock the Jewish God who actually did his work long time ago in the past and stopped there.
Or
Um,
just to stop you, I don't know if it's good to go through the whole story
yeah,
first
so
because
yes,
it
yes,
was a long
go
story.
jump in.
But I have to stop you in the middle, just saying you have the gods that interfere a lot, and you say, oh, the one God doesn't do anything since he created the world. But you also have the philosophical argument that God doesn't care what people do. That goes the opposite direction, where while the Jewish thought is he creates the world, but he's very much involved in what happened later. So you have God's understanding of gods that they are doing the wars, they are interfering in everything. You could also find them, but you could also find the philosophical idea of the gods that don't care about us. They created the world, but now it's us, and there is separation. And here you see
But
a big involvement. But now we are in the discussion already.
yeah,
So maybe we'll
and
go.
it's very interesting. Thank you for what you say right here, because that also makes even bigger of a surprise when we hear Rabbi Yosef ben Chalafta's answer. Because we would expect him to say he cares about the poor, he rescues the Israelites out of Egypt, he goes and intervenes in every. And instead, Rabbi Yosef ben Chalafta can say, he's a matchmaker. He sits since the creation of the world, he does one thing.
Yeah.
He
But just for
matchmake.
the order of the pedagogical way, let's for everyone go through the whole story again and then discuss even more because we can
Yes, you're
discuss the
right.
first
So we'll
sentence the whole
continue that.
time. So
Exactly. So he
just
says,
tell the story again in with your ones and then we'll go back to all the because I have
I
thousand
accept Big
questions and only
Brother,
one
do
answer.
everything as you tell me. Um, good. So yes, so he says God is he's the matchmaker. He does since the creation. Then she replies, "What? This is not difficult. I can do that too. I have many slaves and female servants. I can just matchmake them. That's not an issue. Do you need to be a god for that? What's so special?" And then he answers, which is also very important. He answers, "You think it's easy? For God, it is as hard as breaking, as departing the sea, as
Splitting
opening
the
the sea,
sea.
splitting the sea."
Yeah.
Yes. So parting the sea, proper
Perfect.
English. And then they go for from each other, and she makes a human. How do you say nisui, a trial, a human trial. She takes her 1,000 slaves, 1,000 maids, and matchmake them. Say this, you will marry this one, you will marry this one, and they wake up in the morning, and the one complained, and come the other and complained, and the third complains. Everyone complained about this spouse that she chose for them, and they're hit, and it didn't work. And now she goes back to the rabbi and says, "Wow, amazing! Your God is so tremendous. How can he manage to do the thing of matchmaking?" Then he answered her, because this is where the story usually would stop, right? Because she comes and say, "Wow, amazing! How wonderful is your God? How wonderful is your Torah? How wonderful is Judaism?" And he just said, "No, no, no, you misunderstood." He ruined the whole thing. Right now, he's supposed to live on the glory of what he said, and he says, "No, you misunderstood. If you think it's easy for God, it is as hard for him as splitting the sea, as parting the sea." And then he comes with a special like a whole vault here and says it says in the Psalms אלוהים מושיב יחידים ביתה, מוציא אסירים בכושרות. That God settles the individuals in a home, so that means making, matchmaking, right? Take two individuals and marry them. So that's how he interprets. He liberates prisoners in chains, taking out, motzi asirim, taking them out in chains, bakosharot. And here comes a word, something very classical in rabbinical literature. So the word can be read in a completely different way. Bakosharot should be read as bechi veshirot instead of bakosharot. You can hear the same letters that comes, it's not the same words. Bechi veshirot, crying and singing. And then he says, what does this mean? One who is willing with song. So that one God willing, they are chained in song, and one who is unwilling weeps, cries, which is very weird. Okay, now that's basically the frame of the story. Then there's the different interpretations that come from Rabbi Berachia. Maybe we'll come to that at the end. But this is like the frame of the story. You want to add something here, or we'll go back to the beginning?
To go back to the contact, just to contact us to the parasha, is that we're speaking about matchmaking. We had Rivka and Yitzchak, as he said in the last parasha. Now we have Yaakov. And in the end, refers to Yitzchak that had Rivka coming to him, and while he was in Israel, in the land of Israel, while Yaakov went to his matchmaking, or to Rachel and to Leah, he went to them. So there we have,
which is very interesting in the form of is matchmaking and finding the one that you were supposed to. Lizdaveg, to partner with, is something that sometimes it comes to you, and sometimes you need to work and go out and take it. Which is interesting that in both words you have the word vayetze. That both in Yitzchak he goes out to the field, and Yaakov goes out, departs from Beersheba. But in both parts it actually says vayetze, which is the same word. And say it's different, but it's still use the same verb, which is also interesting. Why do they use that? Which is actually funny because also the word vayetze, it's until today, the word date in Hebrew is latzet, to date someone is to go out with someone. So the same word is still here, which I think might be something we can also reflect on. Why dating is like going out with someone? Like what does it mean that you need this? Going out.
Outgoing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of questions, as you can see. And Yair, if you said in the start that
Yes.
In the Midrash we see the Jewish understanding towards others, like here you have the Roman noble woman. So if this is like representing the Jewish thought, I think it does it in a very good way without going to the details, that it makes everything very complicated and everything has so many sides. So that's in that way it's a very good thing. But we want to begin with that question actually from the start, because first of all, as we said, it's weird that he comes with matchmaking. But what's even more weird is the way it is formalized in the question. Because normally we will say about matchmaking is as she did. You take the men and you take the women and you match them together. But it's formalized here in a very different way, and it's not only matching men and women. It's matching. I don't see where it is here.
Property. Yes. The property of so and so.
Matching the daughter to so and so. Okay, this is a natural matchmaking. And then the wife to so and so, but she's already married. She's a wife already. So what are you matchmaking a wife? What is this? And then even matchmaking not a man or not a wife, but then matchmaking property to so and so. Okay, That's not the natural way of thinking about matchmaking. And it's very interesting that that's the way you formalize the matchmaking of God. Now I come with the questions. I think Yair or others could be the ones to answer because I'm better in questions here today.
Yeah, but I have a direction, but I'm actually very interested to hear if there's anyone else have an idea why that, because it's actually a very good question. What like that? I have no doubt that none of us would have um, described God as this is what he does, right? If yes, then something is weird with you. Like this is definitely not the way we. And so what? How come this is the way? What do you think? I would say you don't need to answer why, but answer what does it? What does it say about God if this is a way or the way Rabbi Yosef ber Chalafta presents or think of God when he presents him in this way? Any of you who's brave enough to try to come with a. Remember, it's a Beit Midrash. Beit Midrash means the learning. If you have a thought, it doesn't mean it has to be right. The worst thing that can happen, we will have a laugh at you. Uh, yes, Nigar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready for you to laugh at me. But I was thinking maybe this is a way to show that how almighty God is. How, I mean, like we often talk about him as the creator of the universe. So, but the way we see, like, what does it mean to be the creator of the universe, right? And I feel like in this way, what one description was matchmaking all the things in the world, not just man and woman to marry, but also just things around us, right? Because matchmaking, like the way we think about it, is originally in terms of marriage and relationships and romantic matchmaking, but maybe it doesn't have to be, right? Maybe it goes beyond that. That's just a thought I had. So, yeah, you can laugh now.
No, it's a very, very good. And I think if I can continue that direction, it's also something that I thought this focuses on what is divine in our life here, right? Because when he comes with this questions, with this answer, he talks about how do we have God in our lives. Also, if I continue what you have started asking before about the differences between a God that is very much involved or is not involved, and that here it comes and says, what is divine in our life? It's relations. And relations, and I don't say relationships, it's relationships is one of them, but all relations. It's how we are as people with our with people and with things too. Like this comparison is saying that there's something that is supposed to be mine. I have like a place. I have a home, a place, a a point of view to the world. It's like a small creation, right? Because this is a place where we start to create. When we have even more, I would say in the past, when you had like a home, a field, like this was your point of view. It wasn't so abstract. It wasn't in the cloud like we are today, right? In a computer that can go everywhere. It was, first of all, having a field and a family and a home. This is like the most crucial place where we start to create, both to create life with the matchmaking and creating trees and the economy and all the things that we have in a home and in the field. So I would say this is saying the relations that we have with these things. This is where we suddenly also look a bit like God. This is the places where we have creations in our lives. And I think this is a bit the direction that you also brought, and it focuses on what we need to, how we need to see God involved in these things. That how magically it is, right? How much you can, when something is the right, and any one of you, when you know what it means when you feel good at home, right? And create a relationship with your physical home. And what does it mean? Talking about a home, right? A home is much more than the four walls. It's a place. It's where you are. What's your Utgangspunkt till livet. It's like the point of reference to who you are. This is where you start to be and create. And in that sense, I would say we become similar to God in this place where God, with God's help, when He helps us finding a right place, places us in the right place. He didn't only created us and left us alone, but gave us something. Tikva?
Well, I think that Siduhin is already making heaven, but here is a time for preparation. We have to prepare our nesama with midot, with everything, the both sides, for to wait the right time for both have to be prepared for this moment. And Hashem put there in the time and the place. This is I think.
Yes, but as we'll come to the end, which is very extremely important, Rabbi Yosef Bechalafta will tell us how difficult it is. It's not something that is as easy as she thinks. Yes, Sarah?
So you can laugh as well afterwards. I have spoke, but I was reading
We
in
laughed
something.
before, then we have done it.
Okay, good. But I read something careless into it, like something was wrong already with the question. Like she had a question and that he understood where she came from with that question. Like she led him on and he just followed her game. Like that's how I read it. And then she understood by herself, wow, it was really hard. And maybe then they could have a conversation.
But did he jump on her or like on her question and took the bait, or was it opposite that he used her question to take it to a completely different place?
Yeah, I think he took her question and he answered it properly, hence to what she said and what she came from, but in a way that also made her understand by herself that okay, I was a bit ignorant, or I don't know, I thought too much of. I thought this was nothing, but it was really hard. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe some kind of lesson for the women, for the woman here.
Yeah.
In a way, I
now I
think
want to. Yes,
I
sorry,
could maybe add to say a little about the one thing is that you show that matchmaking is not only between man and woman, but it's a whole much more complicated thing. And that matchmaking, especially when it comes to wife, doesn't stop after you get married. Like it's a building connection is something that you struggle with all life. Struggle sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. That's also told later in the Midrash. But in a way, the discussion they have is about Hashem's like in the sixth day, Hashem like build the world, like the if we have many Danish people here, like Lego, build up the world, not create it, but let's say that. But then her question is, okay, what does he do after that? He finished his work. What is his purpose? In a way, that's her question. And he comes and he tells there is still relationship inside this world, and these relationships is something he continues to be the God of. And then her question, her misunderstanding is that she thought that he continues to matchmake in the same way like the creation in the 6 days. And because of that, she used or maybe she represents the Roman way of you force people to do things because you have the power. Okay? So because of that, she's making the matchmaking from a place of authority, saying, I'll tell my servant to marry that one, I'll tell that one to marry that one. And she maybe understood that is the way God, that is almighty, he is sitting there. And as we said, we know everyone has a shidduch from before. And you get what you get. Someone gets a better shidduch, someone worse, but we do what Hashem has decided from advance. He is the almighty and he matchmakes us. And in many ways, I think his answer is, I don't know if it's The same Yair, as you said, and in a way the opposite also, that the problem is that in one hand he is very much involved. In second hand, it's not in his hands. Like how the matchmaking will happen, because if he could just decide, then it's easy, okay, for God. But when the matchmaking is not only in the hands of God and the relationships is between the people in the creation and not only the creator, that's maybe a good explanation for why it's so complicated. Why should something be hard to the Almighty? He's Almighty.
But but
Nothing
then
should,
but then
yeah.
uh, so Yoav, I will ask you because so what is it that she doesn't understand? Because
She,
basically
yeah.
he says to her, no, you misunderstood. God does exactly what you did. What is the difference between you two? That you gave up too quickly. Because the symbol that he gives when he says Elohim
No, but
Shivim,
she doesn't understand that it's hard for him in the start.
but God also says it's hard for them. Some might cry. So
That's
when
later in the discussion, but not in the first answer.
it's just yeah, but in the beginning he also
The
says
first
it's
answer,
hard
he
as
says he's matchmaking, and then she says, "Okay, that I can do also." And then
yeah.
she does it, but then he explains. She could think, and she answers, says, "Your God is very good because I can't matchmake, and He can matchmake." Okay, and that seems a very weird answer.
Yeah.
But then
And
he
if
explained, no, he doesn't matchmake like Almighty that decides. It's complicated for him. It's very, very hard for him to do. Okay?
yeah, and here also comes you have also so maybe then before we come to the end, maybe the weirdest choice of the metaphor when it comes to say how hard it is. He chooses the weirdest quotation. He says is that it's hard to God as the same way that of it just as hard as pardoning the sea. Why pardoning the sea? Like from all examples of things that are hard. Now I'm not saying that pardoning the sea is easy, but if the symbol was of something that you need to bring together, choose a metaphor of pardoning is a very weird metaphor to choose. Because if the whole concept, the whole idea is that God matchmakes, He brings people together, He brings a person and a property together and land, then why saying Kriyat Yam Suf? It's as hard as Kriyat Yam Suf. It should say as hard as creating the world, or as hard as making a miracle that one of the many miracles that God did. Choosing this example of saying example of something hard is like the opposite of what we would expect. And I can also ask, is it that hard for God to pardon the sea? I don't know. Like, is it difficult? Technically, physically, is it difficult for God to tell the wind to come and blow the whole night so the sea will pardon? I don't know if it's hard or not. So what lies in this sentence? It's a weird, it's a
But
weird choice of.
when you say that splitting the sea, okay, is the opposite than matching, that's only a question of which direction you're looking. Because splitting the sea is also connecting the two sides of the land from the two sides of the sea. And that maybe if you just turn the point of view, then you understand that it says connecting between people in this world and things in the world is as complicated or more complicated than connecting two sides of the land by moving. It's complicated when there's sea in between. And then we're speaking about connecting and not about splitting.
Beautiful. I haven't heard that before, Yoav. Thank you for the chidush
You have
here.
to come to Oslo. We have a different point of view.
Your understanding of seas and land is different than in Denmark.
Yeah, the Vikings from Denmark weren't as good. Like how I opened up them all the time.
So it's interesting. So you say that and I will still ask how hard it is. Was it hard for what is difficult for God? or is it the idea of maybe when you say it's difficult, he comes and say it's not that it's difficult, but that in so many ways it goes against the natural forces,
The
and
natural
that is
thing
also
is that
interesting.
human beings are everyone for themselves. And to take two
Yes.
human beings to build something together is to move things. Everyone has their own shield, their own thing. And going together is it's not against. We also have something that makes us want to be together with other people. But when you go into it, before you get married and after you get married and after you get relationships with other people, you see how lovely it is and meaningful it is, but also how complicated it is. Because it's separate human beings and you have to connect them. You have to move the sea in between. Anyway, use it again.
Yeah, I can bring here, bring into the conversation our late brother Eitan. I remember when we got married, when I got married with my wife. Before that, he came to me and I said, "What? So you really believe in this like monogamy and like this weird concept of of marriage and he was like, "What?" And like, of course. And he comes and said, "But come on, it's so unnatural." He said, "It's so unnatural to be monogamous, to be to create a home." So he said exactly. I don't know if you meant the same, and I won't tell your wife it. You said it, but he came and said, which I think so many times we miss when people, for example, talk about the differences between the debate about same-sex marriage or regular marriage, and then the argument comes of that this is a natural way of marriage and this is unnatural. And I would say to both of them, no, none of it is natural. Like choosing to this is a choice. This is in a way completely unnatural thing, maybe just like splitting the sea is as unnatural. And I will take your interpretation of beautifully saying this is making the impossible connection to the two sides of the sea by pardoning the seas. This is the wonder and the difficult part of marriage. And marriage is difficult, as he continues again and again here. And maybe tell self, no, it's an unnatural thing that we decide to do and not natural. I think we should add also when we talk about the, and I want to come further also to the other to the end of the Midrash, to what's wrong with the ending, because here she comes from Rome, and now I bring something that I learned from my rabbi, was also a doctor in history, and he talked about the differences between marriage in the Roman world, and Rome was the place that it was the easiest in the world to get divorced. Like you would divorce if one of the side, both men or women, wrote a note to the other that you are divorced, then they were divorced. Like that was it. There was no. It was the easiest thing to get divorced, which I couldn't avoid thinking when we come to what she says. She comes and say, "Oh, this doesn't work. Like I can't do it. Wow, how amazing is it that God manages to bring people together? Because I can't do it. The second that it's become difficult, then we give up. This is basically what she says. And then he answers, no, you misunderstood. The relationship between a couple that God matchmake is just as difficult as the one you did. God actually does exactly what you did. He makes two people to sit together. You know all the jokes that people say to someone who's about to get married. Oh, this is the end of the world. This is like a prison, and like all the thing that you say to a man who's now getting into marriage, and why people avoid them getting married. And this is exactly what this midrash does. The midrash here ends with Rabbi Yosef ben Chalafta saying, bring quotation from Tehillim, Elohim Moshiv Yechidim Baita. He brings two individuals and imprisons them and bind them in kosharot. Like this is the which is the most unromantic description you would find of marriage. Oh, wonderful. What happens? Think if I had a couple coming to get married in the synagogue, and I will say, how wonderful that you came here today. This is like the chuppah is like a prison, and you are now bound together in, how it's called, azikim, handcuffs. This is marriage. Like I would be kicked out, and I don't know what will happen next to that. And this is what he does. And since this is what marriage is, and then he pushes it to the different place of what to the place of responsibility, like maybe a bit like what Tikva said before, but as Joav also said about the work that needs to be done, like the choice of the question is not that this is what marriage is. The question, what do you make out of this marriage? And maybe here you need the belief that these people didn't have, because the slaves that she put together, they came back came back to her to complain. This is what we can't do. After we get married, we can't go back to God and complain about the match we got. We need to find out. We need to believe that this is what God wanted from us, which is very hard. Like we need to choose continuously to choose to see God as our matchmaker. And then, I think very beautifully.
Where do you see that you need to believe that in the
No,
text?
through what it says at the end. Because when he says, what is bekosharot? It is weeping and song, bechi v'shirot. One who is willing. The Midrash says, "Mi sherotze man debai."
Yeah, yeah.
The one who wants.
Wants
Sing.
what?
It doesn't say.
Yeah.
It doesn't just say one who is willing. It will be with song. One who is unwilling, he weeps. So both of them will stay with the handcuffs. Both of them will stay in the prison. If they want, so the place where they want is the place where they choose. And this is very strong. It puts
But
lots
where
of
do you
pressure.
see that they have to accept? You say that if they accept that it's God's will or plan, then they will be happy. I don't see it.
No, I didn't say that they will be happy. Like,
Then,
like understanding that they need to continually choose the other, accept that they are in this relationship. So you can cry over this relationship you got, and you can sing. This is up to you. This is your choice. How do you do it? I said, but I believe that when he brings in then from the fact that God is the one who settled them. God said, you should know God put you in this prison, because this is a sentence. It starts from God put you in this prison, and now it's up to you. This is a sentence in the Psalms. So this is the way of approach that you need to have. You need not to believe that this is a matchmaking from heaven. How wonderful you are on the now. You came to nirvana, you came to the ultimate place because this is the matchmaking for heaven. No, this is the matchmaking for heaven. This is serious. It means you are locked together, and now it's up to your hands. Matchmaking for heaven doesn't mean that now everything will go easy. Matchmaking from heaven means God put you in this situation. He wanted you to be together. Now you.
but
Now
I
you
see
will
it a
be.
little. I see it maybe the same, but a little different. Like he says that he puts them in kosherot. Like Hashem puts us in a place where we could either want or find our will, and then we will joy, or not, and then we will cry. Now, the will is not willing to be happy or to be joyful or to cry, but the situation is that combining people, things together is very hard. And after a short while, you find all the problems and all the complicated things. And there, in the slave place, they knew they didn't have any choice. Okay, they were put there against their will. Okay, and they complained because they were just put there. But actually, here it's not that okay. Matchmaking itself is also the will you choose it, but then you come to a situation, and that I think that it's not like a Shem matchmake you. In the end, people are choosing who they're going to marry. Okay,
But this is not what he says, because the words that he says, he matches them against their will, not to their liking. Like the wording is actually against their will. So they need
because
to find the will after God forced them. Which is like,
in the world you always and that's how I see it. In the world we always find the reason why not. Okay, that's very easy to understand why not. So even if I get as a single person, I get in love with someone, and then I'm happy for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, and then I'll find why not. Okay, I'll find the why not because it's, as we said, not natural to take two human beings that are individual to put them together. And the question is, what do I do in that situation? Okay. And I see it more that Hashem created a world where you come to these situations. Not about who you are with, but the world is a world where you build a home or you build a connection, and then you find the struggle. And the question, what you do when you find the struggle? Do you go to the complaining side? Oh, why is it like that? Why did I meet this person? Why do I need to? And then breaking the whole thing, and then you suffer. Or you say, now this is my struggle. I will want to struggle into it. And then you get a joy, I will say actually inside the struggle, because that's a new creation and it's hard. Like I'm leading Shvilim, it's like a gap year program, and all the time they're making their schedule in the day, and you could see how they come to an activity that they were planning. And if they come with the right attitude, even if it wasn't exactly what they thought, they'll make the best out of it. It creates something new. And when they're in complaining situation, even a good plan thing, they'll find the smaller thing and be in a bad mood for that. And then everyone are crying. So the mood you come with, when you understand that Hashem created a world where matching people is not simple. And Hashem creates it hard. And yes, it's often we were stuck with people. It could be the person we married. It could be the person that we are born to, or any even a situation where we have more or less money or another struggle because you even speak about money. The question is what we do in the situation because we are often in a place that isn't exactly what we dreamed about. And there we have to find the will. That's the way I understand it more, maybe.
No, I agree. And I think also that is why he removed it and says, who is it hard to? Okay, he said it's hard to God as pardoning the sea, but when we see the explanation of what God does, we can see that the hard part he left to us. Like the hard part is not what God made to choose. Like these two people will be together. That is a simple. It's the same way manner as cheated, right? It's against their will. He just chose these two people are together. He left the hard part. He said, "This is the work that we need to." God built us. He continues to build these places where we need to do the hard work of choosing the song way and not the weeping.
Or going back in 6 days of creation, he created the world according to his will. Here he is dependent on our will also. And because of that, it's hard for us, but it's also hard for him because it's not totally in his hands. And there he is almighty, but not totally almighty because he created us with a free will that is in our hands and not in his hands. So
that's why it's so hard for him because he's now waits and depends on the result of he's doing will be in what we will do. Wow, that is.
There is a very known like funny or like when people try to doubt the Almighty, they say, could God create a stone that he can
Lift. Yeah.
lift himself. And if he can do it, then he can't lift it. And if he can't lift it, then he's not almighty. And in a way, this is exactly the situation. He creates a world that he doesn't totally control. And his matchmaking, he's still involved. You could think, and that's the start, that means that God isn't creating, he just puts the world and we do what we want. God is still very much involved. And sometimes the reason why I meet one person the one day, another person the other day, I have to believe that God is involved in that. But that does not mean that he knows what we will choose in the situation. Okay? So he puts us to these challenges, the free will is still in our hands, and that is the stone he can't lift. We have two
Let's open.
questions
I can see
that
Yeta and Isaac. So
yeah.
Yeta? Yeta, yeah.
I'm here now. Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for both of you. It's very, very interesting. Wow. I can't overview this text, but thank you for helping to understand tiny little of this. But I think you are when you talked about to split the sea. This is very interesting. To the opposite of what was happened in a way. You make this contrast or contra understanding to bring people, country areas together. That's very, very interesting. I can't get it out of my head. Thank you for that. And
Thank you, Yeta.
I hope you can continue some of this another time, because it's a little bit interesting for some of us now from the beginning
Great,
now
Yeta.
to understand
Thank
this.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Isaac.
Hello. I was wondering, I don't know if it's connected to this week's parasha, but in Yaakov's case, he's not satisfied with Leah, and so he also marries Rachel, right?
Yes.
So I'm just wondering if this is connected, if it's because this is obviously not a monogamous relationship.
Opening the whole story of Rachel and Leah and Jacob, that demands two or three more shiurim. So we won't be able to open all of it.
Okay.
I would say it's very no, but I would say it's very interesting what you say. Also, in connections of what we see here. Definitely, the story of the relations between Leah and Yaakov is complicated. The Torah, Yaakov doesn't come out very good from this story also later. So it's a whole question of what is a proper marriage. And I would say in this connection, the Midrash here gives a direction of the difficulties, which we also see in the story of Yaakov and Rachel and Leah. That it doesn't only give us a pill. If only you do this, you will be happy. It's not. If only you believe, you will be happy. But you need, first of all, to want it. And if you will want to stay in the place of complaining, that's also possible. That's in your hands. Which approach you have, and this is something when we think about it in the light of these parashot, where we can see very difficult relationships and debates for also between Rivka and Yitzchak, which we saw last week, and this week definitely with Rachel and Leah, and through the children that we'll read about. This is very very difficult, and maybe not the right choices were made all the time. So you can learn from the Torah already learns from Yaakov other things that you're not allowed to do. There are places in the Torah that specifically talk about Jacob's family, saying, "This is you see what our forefather Jacob did. This is not allowed. This is bad to a family relations." So it's the Torah doesn't put them as a symbol of the right way to do, but the opposite. This is somewhere we can learn from, because if it's not the right way, that means this is the human way of with all the trouble and difficulties and choices that we need to make. Arad?
Again, during your talking about all the complication and everything, I was thinking maybe it's also some hint about the relationship and the match between Am Israel and God. Could
Is
be
it a question or
Generally, the relationship between Am Israel and God is very often metaphored to a relationship between a man and a woman. Like, for example, we spoke about it for those who were in the Sunday show about Eshet Chayil that we sing on the Friday, that people think we sing it before because of the man coming home and thanking his wife. But
we
it's
don't sing it. My
actually,
wife doesn't allow it at home, in our home.
yeah. Yeah, in my home, I'm allowed to sing it, but it also shows the complex. So what Arad you say is correct. We are like over time, but I do want also to take I don't know what Isaac said, but the trying to see Yitzchak and Jacob in the end of the Midrash, seeing that there are two ways of matchmaking. The one is going and working to find his wife and going out, and the second is getting the matchmaking or the wife coming to him, and in that way, and it's not clear which one is better. It's not like this is good and this is bad. And in that way, we don't have time to go deeper into it, but understanding that we sometimes have to go out and reach out to build the right connections. And we sometimes get connections that we didn't plan, but they are there. And then we are in relationship with, it could be a home that is built by coincidence because it happened, or a relationship with a person that and we have to be in the reach out because these connections are important and we sometimes meet them. And then the question again, we go back, is what we do with them. And I want to finish with what you started, Yair, about the going out, okay?
Yeah.
And this is so complicated. And as the Midrash said, complicated to us. Why go out? Why just stay in our bubble? And the truth is that the creation of the world, creation of children, is also in the matchmaking between a man and a wife, or a man and a woman. But generally, creating in the world is in the meeting between things. And because of that, the going out, okay, is like the going out. When you go out of your safe zone, is the place where you begin to create. When you stay in your tent, you don't create at all. So the going out, building relationship is, as you said, Yair, in the start, I'll quote you, it's a part of the creation of the world, because this is how humankind is continuing to create. Okay? And it's a joint a relationship and responsibility that the creator has. He's continuing to match us together, and we need to make the best out of it, hopefully laughing and enjoying it and not crying from it. But the going out is what created what we are. And I think this is one of the core things this very complicated and funny and weird Midrash could show us.
And I will continue, and I agree completely. And I would say that the going out is regardless if you need to go far or if it's at home. The fact that both of them have the word vayetze, Yitzchak at home and Jacob a long journey to Haran, it means that the question is always your approach of going out. Just like the whole Midrash, we're talking about which approach you choose within the situation. And the going out is maybe the key, that we don't wait the things to come to us. We need to go out. We need to want them. We need to seek them. We need to go to the other. It can be the wife. It can be the friend. It can be the field, the place. But be in a place that doesn't wait for the things to be. Even if it will be within my home, I need to be in a way of outgoing, being in a place that going towards what comes to me or what I need to seek far away. I need to go out. I need to do the action. I can't wait for the other to change, which so many of us do all the time. Definitely in relationship, that we want the other to change to fit us. And here comes maybe a small hint to how to do relations. You need to go a bit out of your place and not wait for everything to match your needs and your will, your wishes to how things will be created. So thank you so much, everyone. And we'll see you.
Good matchmaking for everyone.
Yes.
Thank you so much for today. Thank you so much, Shiur.
ערב טוב.
Thanks a lot. ערב טוב.
Thank you so much. Wow.
לילה טוב.
Laila.